Crosley Bendix, cultural reviewer and director of stylistic premonitions for the Universal Media Netweb, with today's Arts Review.
Good hello, I'm Crosley Bendix, foremost cultural critic and director of stylistic premonitions for the Universal Media Netweb. And I've been pushed out here to satisfy your insatiable appetite for entertainment for just a little bit longer. Well, I hardly need to be pushed, but you do! My cultural review tonight will not needlessly stoop to criticize the performance you've been witnessing here tonight. I'm sure you don't need me to do that. But from under my new hat, I hear the words old hat coming to mind. And does my mind mind? No, it's way too late for that, or anything else as far as so-called music is concerned. And I'm not talking about this music or that music. No, I'm talking about all music. The whole shebang, the entire kit and caboodle, whatever that is. Yes, every stitch in time, every note and rhyme, every type and kind, all the music that's ever been made by anyone, anywhere. The one, no longer ignorable fact is that it's all been done before by now, and there is no longer anything truly new that can be achieved in music anymore. Now, of course, the so-called new music is still being predictably pumped out, and it's still being called original. But any fool versed in the whole history of music can hear that there's no longer anything truly original about any of it at all. We have always been accustomed to assuming that there must be plenty of untried musical concepts, styles, structures, sounds, and note combinations left to discover in the future. But think again about that old song. Actually, it's no longer true. I'm suggesting we are now finally past the point of discovering anything possibly new in music that has not already been done to everyone's satisfaction in old music. Oh, there's plenty of note combinations left that don't sound good. That's why they're left. But all the great, good, sort of good, and acceptable note combinations have been used up long ago. Why do you think melodic music is so boring now? Just listen to the radio. And with no significantly new melodic invention possible, noise became inevitable. And by now, there are no new surprises possible there either. We've heard it all before. It's kind of sad, really, to see how every avant branch of music just continues on and on, grasping at blind hope, delusional beyond repair, in persistent denial of the simply obvious fact that it's all been done before, and nothing categorically new in music will ever be possible again. Get used to it. All possible types of musical concepts, compositional approaches, times, tempos, tones, timbres, arrangements, instrument usages, instrumental combinations, ambience, and even extra musical additions to music, not to mention Cage's silence, have already been tried and successfully accomplished in everything from the classical to today's avant-garde. Now, sure, you can just keep rehashing any of this stuff over and over again, but calling it new only displays a convenient loss of musical memory, and nobody likes a copycat. At this late date in the nature of music, no new sprout of unique innovation will ever be possible again. We can only produce another familiar twig on another familiar branch of a familiar old tree. Or, to put it another way, The tree of music is now so stuffed with birds that there are no new perches available. And down here, underneath this incessantly singing overpopulation, we listeners are being covered and smothered with all this redundant bird turd called music. You can't brush it off. At this point in musical evolution, as we all march hopelessly into a new century, there is only barely disguised backtracking down well-worn ruts in the trail of music. A been there, done that sound barrier now blocks all forward movement in musical invention, beyond which only dogs can hear. So, what's left? Nothing new, that's what. After spreading out into every conceivable theoretical sonic realm, as music obsessively did to death during the 20th century, it is now possible to declare that all music is now 100% in the business of recycling and reinterpretation forevermore. Now, for most people, this is not so bad. In fact, they hardly notice this is true or care if it is. Almost all music has always been about reinterpreting familiar musical elements, and most music has always been completely reminiscent of the music that preceded it. This is actually what most people seem to like about it. Endless variations within well-established forms and styles, and performers who are able to create refurbished feelings of new as they apply themselves to respinning completely familiar musical concepts and structures. Oh, sticky, sticky pages. But for those among us who are interested in the potential for true, categorically new invention in the sonic arts, sorry, it's all used up, and we can now give up. That potential no longer exists. And one more thing. For those fringe music connoisseurs out there who might be gesturing wildly in protest, wishing to propose the incorporation of found sound in sampling and cut-up collage music as if that was something new, forget it. All that began back in the 1920s with electrical recording technologies, was already old when it became popularized with the new digital technologies in the 80s and 90s, and is now thoroughly entrenched in common musical practices. It, too, has nowhere new to go.
Thoroughly?
Really, I don't know what's so funny about this. It's rather sad. Nowadays, all that sounds more or less the same, no matter who is doing it. Collage itself was a very early 20th century visual art technique, emerging a little later in music as the very last sonic refuge for the musically bored. It was a gambit in which the only new logic was to be honestly unoriginal and actually compose new works out of old ones, recycling the by then disposable plethora of music into a slightly newer disposable plethora and let it go at that. Temporary titillations that unapologetically suck up the past and reposition it into the present. So, music is really no better than TV now. That's the future of it, and that's the end of it. Well, I hope I haven't ruined anything for you. It's just my job. But remember, as you slap that recent gift of music on your reproducer of choice, it's not a new gift. You have been regifted.
Hey, Crosley, could we offer you a biscuit?
Merry Christmas to all. There is no God.
Oh, no biscuit.
You've been listening to cultural reviewer and social critic Crosley Bendix.